Hello, everyone. I'm joined by Sheer Cold Flex DPS Will today, and this is going to be probably the first in a series of interviews I'm going to do with all the top 8 teams. So, Will, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and the team? Because I imagine people maybe aren't as familiar with Sheer Cold as some of the other teams.
Yeah, we are a team of friends. It's Sheer Cold is like a mixture of players who've been on a team called Mind Goblin, which was in contenders, I think trials, a couple years back, and it's been like a core of players. Then they rebranded to Fancy Fellas because of the Blizzard sexual thing, because then Mind Goblin these nuts wasn't allowed. So they had to rebrand to Fancy Fellas. And then, that team eventually became Sheer Cold after the Mind Goblin team basically split up. And then, this team became Sheer Cold, and I joined this season. And they played last season as well together. In Flash Ops, they played as well with the same roster, but they had to get Asking in because Exodia was underage. And then prior to that, they played... I think they got top 11 in contenders, I'm pretty sure. It's been like a really long-term team. Like the Joham, Condi, and then Condi is our sub DPS. Stripper has been like a core of players for like 3 years or something. So, yeah.
So a long time together then. And how does it sort of work in the team then if we go into like, who's really like, would you say is the main caller, or who's making a lot of these big calls or when you're in game?
I think our main caller depends on who we have in as tank. I think when we have... when both our tanks are very heavy callers, I think. NKC is also like a very big leader outside the game. Because he's typically the tank we play with. So I think he's like taking the team more in a direction, leading the team more. But in game, I think it's mostly NKC, Skytor, me on official days, and Stripper, of course, because he's our main support player. I think it's definitely me, Stripper, and the tank is like definitely the hardest comers on our team.
And compared to some of these teams, you're obviously quite a young team, and you're also playing not under a banner of, say, like an SSG or something. So what does what does your practice schedule look like? Bear in mind, I imagine a lot of you have like school or other things to factor in as well.
Yeah. I'm actually on a gap year, so I can kind of do whatever. But yeah, Joham has work, Exodia, I'm not really sure, and Skytor has school. So we can't triple block, but what we're basically doing is we do one watch at 17, where we either look at our own swim, or a mixture of looking at our own and then looking at, Korea or something to compare, right? Then we have double block every day. And then between the blocks, sometimes we look at over stuff, but it's not always. It can be a bit mentally straining to just go like, 5-6 hours in a row,
6
right?
hours in a row.
Yeah. And then we obviously have our block after, and then we have one-on-ones with our coaches, which is like rotating, right? Every day we have 2 players getting one-on-ones.
How would you describe the coaching staff then? Because is it PNR who does most of it? Isn't that right?
Yeah, PNR is our only coach. He does the one-on-ones. He was a bit sick leading up to the week to OWCS. He was sick, so he couldn't be there. But he's put us in his serious pants, and he's one-on-oneing people every day and looking over stuff now. So props to him for that. But yeah, PNR is our single coaching staff. He's
We talk a lot about maybe it's more of an uncoachable thing. We always talk about coaching styles in terms of where they fall, maybe on like for a stretch from like maybe a dad coach in terms of like an emotional leader and mindset coach to a strategic leader, like the actual in-game and the macro and micro of how you play. Does he do a bit of everything, or where on that scale would you say he kind of falls?
I think PNR PNR has also been with the Mind Goblin and Sheer Cold core for a very long time, and I think for a very long time he has been like the dad coach type of guy who has led the team like that, been like an outside perspective, just basically been an extra player, right? Just like helping the team. But I think he's striving more to be like more like a gunback coach. But he's I think he wants to educate himself more before going that route, right? Which is I think really good. Because I think you really need to be confident in your skill to be a very controlling coach, and a very decisive coach. because it takes a lot of effort and energy studying.
Because we saw maybe a little bit of that in some of your matches recently, where you went down this Zarya direction, which maybe a lot of people weren't expecting, or especially by the time your match happened, everyone was really expecting to see Mao go all the time, every day, everywhere. So can you tell us a little bit about the Zarya decision and how that came about?
Yeah, we have that was definitely NKC's idea, our tank player, or one of our tank players. He was a very big Zarya believer the second Mauga came out, because he thinks Mauga is a fraud hero and a very low skill hero. So he was like, this hero can't be good. This will be better. And then he basically put in all the hours to prove why it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And you know what they say, like if you all believe it and if you all put in more hours, like anything can really work, right? Unless it's like extremely bad, right? But yeah, he put in a lot of hours. He showed us the Zarya comp. We rolled with it and we won, right? So
yeah, I can certainly see some of the logic. Like we saw a lot of teams, especially in Korea, struggling with like just getting slammed or Violet Ajax in multiple beats. Actually, Bubble is one of a few things alongside Suzy that can actually get you out of some of those situations. So I think I can see there's some kind of logic to it. I can see the vision at least.
Yeah, I mean the idea behind it is basically that you get, because the friendly cooldowns are lower, right? That you get your rebar close, get a friendly bubble off, and then by the time your rebar is waved back, you have 2 bubbles, and your Zarya basically has charged already, right? Yeah. So if you get into that dogfight of Mauga running into your team, you can Suzu the slam, and your Zarya just does more damage in the dogfight, basically. That's like the idea behind it, right? And rebar kind of stops them from just hard inting in, I think where it really loses is obviously into like Monkey and stuff like that. But also into like a poke version, because then Reaper struggles a lot. Because I think forcing a dive with a Reaper into like a poke comp with Zarya is really hard. Because I think having to TP in and then wave a really long range is like you have maybe 5-second uptime or something,
Yeah.
You have to like really get a good trade there if it's worth.
We can talk a little bit about then, because you probably had one of the most dramatic ways out of groups in like a dogfight with Arya, a 3-2, into another 3-2 with Arya and another dogfight on two different patches as well. So no matter what the patch seems to be, you seem to get dragged into this 5-map banger with Arya. So talk to me about how do you prepare? Because obviously everyone, for those who don't know, Arya is the one trick team, the Mei, the Junkrat, the Kaya team. How do you go about preparing for a team like that? Wow, none of your scrims are going to look like that at all.
I mean, we basically just accepted that we can't prepare for Arya and we just play our own shit. I think that's the best way to go about it. I think I forgot who said it, but some good player said it to me. I said it on a stream once, and I just said that to our team, and we all agreed that it's like we can't simulate Arya. They're just playing ranked. They're micro-wise, they're extremely good on their heroes, and you just can't really simulate that, right? Especially because if it's a ranked way of playing, all people have different play styles, right? So we just accepted that we can't simulate Arya, and we just play our own stuff, and we see what comp could be good into like a Mauga double flex support, and that's kind of it, Like we can't really prepare for the DPS. That's just the skill check, really.
And when we got to this final one, which is maybe the one a lot more people watched as it was on the main broadcast, you find yourself in this Shambali situation. They full cap you. What's the feeling? What's the feeling in the team then when you're sort of your top 8 chances are on the line and you've got to try and full cap Shambali? What are the comms like? What are you saying to each other at this time?
I think our comms was actually like pretty positive. Because I think we're all like really, we're not imagining us losing, I think. I mean, I wasn't personally at least. I wasn't sitting there like, okay, this is our top 8 chance. Fuck, right? Like I was sitting there. I was just locked in, I was like, okay, we played this like a comp game, you're just playing to win. And I don't think anyone was like in despair. I think we were all, because we got a really good cap, right? We capped like, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and it got like 1 minute because the cap was 0. So I think the team was really just like, we just win, we just locked in to win. We're not really in despair like that. We just wanted to win. And obviously it's tragic, but I think we just accepted it as what it was.
And then when you get to this overtime situation, so then you full hold them super early on like the first stretch of Shambhala. You've got 3.5 minutes. Nothing could go wrong. But then you get a few false starts where Kai's just somehow got first pick in a couple of these fights. It's starting to maybe the time's ticking away maybe a bit quicker than you want. Was there any panic at this stage, or were you able to stay composed?
I think there was a slight bit of panic. Obviously, we were very overjoyed when we were in that like spawn room on attack there, and we've held them for so long. But we kind of toned the team down. We said like, okay, we have to still win. This isn't won yet. But I think we were playing in a way of trying to win, or trying to win very greedily. Like we all just walking main, trying to just shoot the tank, And I think it was super, super, super stupid what we were doing. But it ended up working out. But yeah, I was about to tell EXODL to swap out Ash, because I think it made sense, kind of like, okay, they have to touch when we shoot them, but they have to stand in that little corner with like Mei Junkrat. That just means like 80% of the map around them, on the right side is just completely open. So Tracer, for example, would just go so hard there, because you can literally just flank and do whatever you want. They also have double flex support. Whereas Echo, I can't get healed if I flank right side, because we have Zen, right? Unless we take the top left, which is really hard into junk. So it's kind of harder to flank with Echo there. But I think Echo Tracer would have made it a lot easier. But, we won the last fight. They had to charge. I hit a flank. I whiffed like 10 shots, but it still worked out,
Yeah. God, it works, didn't it? So can't complain. Yeah. So then we get to the top 8. And you're the only team in the EMEA top 8 without any former Overwatch League players. So you probably really do come in, I think, in a lot of people's mind as the real underdogs or in all of this. So how do you feel about your chances now you're in the sort of top 8? The one tricks are a thing of the past. You don't have to worry about them anymore. You're going to be playing meta teams now. How do you look at this in terms of how far you think you can go in this bracket?
I think, realistically speaking, there are some teams that I think are going to be really, really hard to beat. But I also think we have a shot at beating some of the teams. I think, for example, our bracket looks like this. We play London first. And if we lose to London, we play Peps probably, right? Because I think Peps are playing TM. Or Bubu.
Spray check, yeah. So,
yeah, Bubu, yeah. So realistically, like, of the seeding and whatnot, we should lose and Peps should lose. And I think Peps is probably the easiest team for us to beat, Like, I think they're the like second worst team in Swiss here, right? Or in the playoffs. So I think we have a really good bracket, to be honest, for our situation. I think we have a really good bracket. And I think we have had a really good, like really lucky group, really lucky Swiss throughout the whole thing. And I think it's good we took advantage of it and didn't lose to yeah.
Yeah, you put yourself in this situation, because that's how most people expect the bracket to go with this sort of Peps matchup in that first round of the lower bracket. Now, you were telling me a little bit beforehand about you'll be playing against Naga, and you have a bit of experience with Naga before in terms of how you sort of got your journey to this point. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. When I was a 3.6k player, I saw Naga play Obey Alliance versus, I think it was British Hurricane when they won. I was like, holy fuck, this guy is so good. So we had like a big ass Danish server, right? I think it was called DK in-house. And every good Danish player was on the server. And I was on it as well. So I was like, I searched for Naga and I just DM'd him. Hey, can you coach me? I'll be paid, of course. I really want to get better. I'm a 3.6k Farah Echo main, I think I was, right? And he was like, you don't need to pay. I really want to help a passionate fellow Dane out. And this guy just coached me like 3 or 4 times for free and just helped me out so much. And it motivated me so much. I also bought coaching from him later on. But that start boost of him just helping me out just motivated me so much to get better. And there's only been like improvement from there.
The Danish are always looking after their own here.
Yeah.
But then that means you're now then potentially setting up a matchup against, I guess the cliche here would be student v master, right? And there's a Canvas student now overtake for master in this lower bracket game.
Yeah. And it's gonna be really fun. Especially because it's my first contenders kind of one. I've never been contenders. One because I think it's been very dead in the OH esports scene, and I've been like improving most this year. But yeah, I mean it's kind of exciting, right? Because this is basically a harder contenders because of the OH League players being pushed down.
Yeah,
and it only being top 8, right?
Well, exactly. Yeah, I think all of a sudden this season of OWCS looks way more competitive than a lot of the contender seasons we've probably seen over the last sort of 2 or 3 years, where it's only 1 or 2 teams sort of in that top. Whereas really you can look at this top 8 teams, and there's probably almost 5, maybe even 6 teams who have like a reasonable chance of making that top 3 or something, you know.
Yeah. Because as much as we're like an underdog team, like Oya was still like a top contender in in contenders. They were like still like really, really good, you know. So if they're worse now, that means, you know, it's like going down basically. But like, yeah, we just have a better shot of having a better placement, right? If there's more teams being worse now.
So obviously, if I was to ask you what the ideal result would be, it would be you win OWCS and get the first place spot. But obviously, there's a lot of tough teams, and there's sort of different tiers in terms of aims. So for you guys, where would you put, like, if we were to look back at it afterwards, what would be a successful tournament? Like, you'd look back at it and go, oh, we did pretty well there. How far would you need to get to sort of feel that way?
Me personally, I think beating Peps would be really chill. And the match after could be like RC or Quick, I think. If you win those 2 matches, that's obviously a really, really good one. But I think if you just beat Peps, I think that's still a one you can be really proud of. Especially coming in with like our team, you know, we as underdogs basically.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that would be like a result that would really, especially for a lot of the fans who maybe have a lot of the other teams, they have the ex-Overwatch League players and sort of have a certain expectation. I think that would really be a result that would put you guys sort of very much in the map and in contention going forward.
Yeah. I think it's more realistic we beat Peps than RC, to be honest. I think RC is... I'm not sure how good they are in this meta, because last meta, obviously, Tracer did a lot, so Checkmate obviously got a lot of value. But I'm not really sure about this meta. It's more Mickey Mouse in terms of macro and just team play in general, you know?
I wanted to ask you a bit about that as well, because you were one of these teams who had to play your first part of group stage on one patch, then a patch comes out, and what was it? Was it 3 or 4 days practice you had before the new patch?
Yeah.
How was that trying to figure all this out in such a short space of time, while also trying to prepare for a super important elimination match?
I mean, obviously, I think it was like a bit panicky, right? Because it's very much like, what's good, what should we play, what's our strengths? But as I said earlier, I think NKC just took the ropes or took the rows or whatever and steered us in the right direction with a comp that he believed in and that he made us believe in. I think that's really good and really well done of him, and I'm very proud of him, because I think that's takes a lot to be like a team leader like that, and then put in the work and put in the arguments, put in the like really, because if you're preaching a comp that no one else is playing, you really have to have good arguments for it. You really have to believe in it, right? And I think he did a really good job of that.
Yeah, I think certainly with such limited time, it's so helpful if someone can just have a vision to steer you in. Even if it turns out not to be like the optimal, the perfect meta or whatever, having something like that the team can rally around ends up being a big thing for the team. And do you think then, now you've maybe had a few more days to play on the patch and stuff, do you think this is a patch that favours your team, or is rather than the previous one when it was a lot of sort of like Tracer and Doomfist and all this being played?
Yeah, I think the last patch was kind of rough because we weren't really ram hits in the start. Because I was pressing Doomfist comp a lot, because obviously I'm like an Echo guy. So I really wanted to play the Doomfist comp. But historically, we just have players who haven't played Dive. So all around, our team just wasn't that good at Doomfist comp. And then, you know, we were later out on the ram comp. And we just weren't super good at the ram comp either. So I think this patch might actually be better for us, to be honest, because it kind of shifts things. And if you've wasted so much time on a Doom comp, and if you're not really good at it after, and then you're trying to play ramp comp and just play catch up to EU teams on a ball comp, right? It's really hard. Yeah. So I think a patch always favors the less good on like the current comps, right?
Yeah. Well, I think as well it ends up being like a bit of a equalizer as well, because suddenly everyone has to come in and figure out something new. There's sort of a big reset in terms of that arms race, and it's probably we saw in both like EU and NA, there was some upsets as well, which I think really sort of showed who was able to adapt and figure things out the quickest.
Yeah, definitely.
Then if I had to get you to put your money on the line for who will win, obviously you might say sheer cold, but if you had to pick right now, current patch, who you think the strongest team is, not allowed to say your own team, who do you think is the strongest right now?
TM, definitely, by far.
Yeah.
They have Quartz, Sojourn, and Sim. Like, it's over. In a ball kind of meta. I mean, ball, but like still, you know, like Sojourn, Quartz, Sojourn, in a meta where Sojourn is just perma-rail, it's like, it's over, you know? Like, it's actually over. I think Kai is really good on Soj, but like, Quartz is just better, you know? And I don't know how Boo Boo is going to play something where it favors Kevstar, you know? So if he's on Sim, like, it's pretty limited what he's going to do, and like a miscellaneous hero he never plays. So, except TPing out of spawn, he's on Tracer.
Well, yeah, it's sort of all the heroes that we've sort of seen sort of come to the fore. Reaper, Sombra, Symmetra are all ones that maybe pull Kev away from his strongest heroes, where actually, I think you're right, it puts Twisted Minds maybe in about as good a spot as they could have asked for meta-wise.
Yeah. If KSA, I mean, Slade just gets to heal KSA, like, when did they always just do, and KSA is just living on Ramatra, just holding his block, and Slade's just pocketing him, like, it's just the same now, you know, like, Slade's just gonna heal KSA, he's gonna have a great time. I mean, the only limiting factor is how good KSA is gonna be on Mauga, I think, because I have no idea whatsoever how good KSA is on Mauga. But again, for like Mauga's impact compared to Soj impact is just miles apart on the comp in terms of skill floor and skill ceiling.
I think even compared to, say, the Ramatra, I think it feels harder for the Mauga to have the same type of influence a Ramatra could in like the old Brawl we sort of saw with that. So yeah, no, I think that's really reasonable. I think as well, like with all the Maugas, nobody's really seen them play Mauga outside. Obviously, you'll get the inside track with scrims and stuff, but especially from the outside, nobody's really seen who's the best Mauga, who's good at this, any of this. And there's like a big question mark, I think, on all the tank players coming into this top 8 of how good they will be on that hero and everything. So I think it's a big test for all of them.
Yeah, I mean, the best Mauga is just Ice Gnome, right? But he's DQ'd, so happens.
What can you do, eh?
You should have seen this guy in scrims. They put in the Ice Gnome because they're tank DC. I'm not gonna say who, and just became 10 times harder.
Oh really?
Happens.
Wow.
Yeah, can't play it against Ice Gnome. Fairness.
All right then. Thank you very much. Best of luck in the top 8. I'm sure we'll see you and the guys go as far as you can. Thank you very much for your time. All right.
Bye.